Menstrual equity matters, period. A conversation with Waterloo Region community members. Hi, this is Kimiko Shibata, and today I'm lucky enough to have some great guests with me. First, Kevin Hebert, a menstrual equity advocate and co founder of Changing the Flow, an organization that's hoping to achieve menstrual equity through awareness, education, and implementation. We also have Mary Chevreau, the CEO of Kitchener Public Library, with us. And we have Gabby, a local grade 11 student. We're here today to talk about menstrual equity and menstrual health awareness as we get closer to Menstrual Health Day on May 28th. Kevin, you've been working with Change the Flow for about 3 years now. Tell me a little bit more about the work that your organization has been doing in our community and what brought you to this work.
Initial work into moving into menstrual equity came from the outside in that I was doing some research for a radio show, and I found this story very briefly about a charity called the Period Purse that at the time was just getting started, and the story of the founder, who was a cisgendered female in Toronto, who had kids, who was in midlife, and saw somebody experiencing homelessness. And it was only later that night that when she came to go get her own period products, made that connection of, oh my goodness, what is that person that I saw earlier on the street doing when they have a period? And that was her aha moment that became mine, because I experienced the same thing, but then I took it even further, and I'm like, wow, how amazing is it that even somebody who has dealt with menstruation on a personal level all this time, also not, had to be sort of brought to that moment. And that really got me thinking of the structural and all the extra work that needs to be done, particularly by, people that don't menstruate. And from there, the idea of giving people period products, for getting period products to people that don't have them, is a wonderful and immediate and necessary thing that we can all do right away. However, it's a very reactionary, very emergency. This is how bad things are, that we have to stop what we're doing. Very much like a food bank model, or we have to give somebody food. And it's critical. We must do this until we no longer need to. But it is, to me, it is it's a scandal. I'll not mince my words. It's a scandal on a social level that things are even at that point, right? So that's really what got me down the path of trying to understand why would this even be an issue? What's going on here? And that led into more broader issues around inequities and menstrual equity as a broader movement. And and it's become a full-time endeavor for the last 2 years.
Now, Gabby, during the pandemic, you took it upon yourself to collect period products as part of a school project. Tell me a little bit more about what inspired you to do this and what you were able to do.
Well, this project is very known at our school. It's super big and everyone anticipates it because it's a bit nerve-wracking and it counts for a lot of things. So when we were asked to pick our subjects, I immediately went to period poverty like as an idea because I always found that we never really talk about it at school. Like we don't get health classes really anymore, so it's never really brought up and it's always kind of a taboo thing. I never hear any of our peers talk about it either. So I wanted to do something that could help my community, and it was especially a good idea because I also knew Kevin and I knew his involvement, so it really helped have connections. And I just wanted to do it because it always interested me, and I really wanted to help people who don't have access to these products.
Right on. I noticed you used the word taboo, and I think that that's a huge thing that you've done here is raising awareness and making it known that, it's okay. People get periods, and absolutely, period poverty is a real thing, and there isn't enough awareness around that. So that's amazing, the work that you've been doing in your school community. And
Thank
tell me a
you.
little bit about what you did after you collected. So you ended up doing a donation drive, right? So
Yes.
what did you do? How many products did you sort of end up with?
So I think I ended up with around 12,264 in total.
Oh,
So I think it
wow.
was like 6,600 pads and 5,664 tampons, I believe.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. That is amazing. And that was just from
Yeah.
your school community?
Um, well, I actually asked around with everyone I knew. I talked to friends, family, people at my school. I had connections with my mom, who's actually a nurse, so it helped because a lot
Oh,
of people were interested on her side. So I kind of
right.
asked everyone that I knew if they wanted to help out, and it was like the responses were great. So many people were interested in helping, so I was
Wow.
able to raise a lot.
That is amazing, and you know what? That's true. Using that power of that networking, the people that you know, absolutely, it sounds like it just sort of built and built from there. Wow.
Yeah.
And then how did you end up, distributing those products that you did end up collecting?
Well, at the end of the drive, actually, we brought them all to Kevin, and then he sent them out. And they first they were packaged into individual packs, and there was a few tampons, a few pads in each, and then they were sent out to multiple locations and multiple organizations, I believe.
We didn't know what to expect, quite frankly, in terms of whatever would have been great. She collected thousands upon thousands of period products, and it was absolutely incredible. And I was involved with her parents, and her came and dropped them off, and it was so exciting to keep moving boxes and boxes of pads and tampons. And what it allowed for us, yeah, was to really amplify the work we were doing at that point in time.
Mm.
This was quite early in the pandemic, so this is in the for earlier stages. So we had a really great opportunity to work with Nutrition for Learning, who had themselves pivoted so quickly to support the food and nutrition needs of community members who could not rely on schools because the schools were physically shut down.
Mhm.
And so we were able to partner with them to get period products out that way, which was fantastic. So whenever the schools were closed, the Nutrition for Learning pop-ups would come back, and we would have period packs going along with them. And we did some work with Reception House. We do ongoing work with Sanguine Health Center and a few of the other local agencies that support folks in marginalized communities that need access to period products.
It's really cool just to see how, that one small idea led to
Yeah.
all of these people being helped, and what a huge impact in our community. It's pretty exciting to see, isn't it?
Yeah, it was really nice to be able to help.
Awesome. That is so awesome. Mary, the KPL is the first and only organization that I know of that has period products that are fully accessible in all gendered washrooms and gender neutral washrooms. Initially, that was started in 2019, pre pandemic, at the main branch, and more recently in all KPL locations. I remember going into the family bathroom with my young daughter at the main branch of the KPL and seeing free menstrual products on the counter there. And this was the first place outside of my church bathroom that I'd ever seen a period box. So, Mary, tell me a little bit about how this period project came to be and what the process was like for getting menstrual products out to those who need them through the library.
I'm happy to talk about this project. It's sort of near and dear to my heart, actually, and many people at KPL. It was very organic, I would say, how this came about. We have a wonderful group and team at Central. We have a wonderful outreach team at Central. And I think this really was a conversation that we started even before 2019, where we thought, even thinking back to my youth, to be honest with you, where we were awkward teenagers in high school, and the embarrassment and the stigma of having one's period during, or getting one's period during a class event, and just I still to this day have that emotional reaction to whether it was me or friends of mine who had that awkward moment of trying to get to a washroom in time. I can remember, us gals would sort of circle around somebody if they had an accident during class and try to get them somewhere so they weren't embarrassed or less embarrassed with what was going on. Those are very difficult and emotional years, period, right?
Mhm.
Pardon the quote, the pun, but just in general, those are very awkward and difficult years, but you add that complexity to it. And I think it really was a case where young women in particular during those years are very vulnerable to that. So this was an organic conversation. And then we really thought about how can we help? How can we make a difference? And it's about accessibility. It's about equality as well, but it's really about accessibility and the importance of being able to be a leader in this area to provide that accessibility across the board. So the other thing, of course, is we've all been in a situation where we do get to a public washroom and we don't have a quarter or we don't have any money to deal with those darned, tampon machines or pad machines, whatever they were, and still stuck, right? Even though maybe there was a product that was available, it really wasn't accessible because of that problem. So we initially started, we had a very small budget, but we started at the Central Library just as a pilot to see how it would be accepted. And we also put out an ask, is anyone interested in providing donations for this pilot project? And the response was incredible. We had so much product, so much donations. We really were quite, humbled by the reaction to this project. So it was, I think, a really strong pilot, and we were glad to do it. And then, since 2019, I think we've shared almost 15,000 menstrual products within the community.
Wow.
It's been really, really interesting, and obviously happy to do it and the right thing to do for many, many people.
Absolutely. That's incredible to hear about the, that need that's there, responding to that need, but then also just the way the community really pulled together to support
Really,
that. That's
it
such a
really
great story.
resonated, and I think it's stories like, particularly with women who menstruate or have menstruated in their lives. We all have stories like that. That memory of being caught, or that memory of having to find a quarter, or the embarrassment of it, and we shouldn't have to deal with that, right? It should not be even a thing.
And
Mhm.
I think it's really great because, especially at my school and a lot of schools, I know that they don't offer that. So to know that it's in other places in our community, I think that's amazing.
When I first saw the period box on the counter of the family bathroom at the KPL, it was actually the very start of an ongoing conversation with my daughter about menstruation. And it's really helped to ensure that there's no shame or taboo, as you mentioned, around this subject in our family. Public health nurses agree that having ongoing conversations reduce stigma and help to prepare children for the realities of puberty. And of course, Gabby, growing up with a nurse as a mother, I'm sure that you've had those conversations early and often. So none of this came as a surprise to you. So you're the
No.
product of that very, visible information and
Yeah.
openness in families, and what a great impact it's had on you being able to be a leader in your school community. Have you heard about other people who menstruate, about period boxes in the library or other places acting as a springboard or a conversation starter? How is this initiative starting or changing the conversation?
Actually, I have heard about it because recently I remember one of my friends telling me a story that she was in need of a product and she did not have any, and
Mm.
nobody else, like, she went into a few stores in the bathrooms, they didn't have it, and I believe that she might have actually gone to one of those locations and got one. And I thought it was really interesting because the fact that it's not as accessible as it should be kind of shocked me. And so it is a conversation starter because what I'm starting to gather from talking with my friends is that, especially at our age group, I find that girls want it more in the conversation, and people who menstruate want to hear about it and talk about it and make it more of a public subject because everyone should be educated so we can help others. And I find that often, this is not like for everyone, but often boys my age know nothing about it. And I feel
Mhm.
like we should also be educating at school, everywhere, because people need to know that it's okay to talk about it. They shouldn't feel embarrassed, I should say, I guess.
Absolutely. And I noticed your word choice there, Gabby. You said people who menstruate. And I think that's very, very powerful. And that's very important language to use. Um, Tell me a little bit about that, about what that means to you when you say people who menstruate.
Well, when I say that is just because it's not just girls who menstruate, and we know that lots of people menstruate, people who are non-binary, transgender people
Mhm.
menstruate, and I think it's important to make that a known subject that not just women menstruate. And because I
Absolutely.
find that it's also especially kind of pushed under the rug and made more of like a taboo for people who don't identify as women or who are transgender. We don't talk about it because we think that it's not part of them, but it is. And I think that we
Absolutely.
should make it more of a wide range instead of just limiting it to women.
Absolutely, and I think that's why that piece about having it in all gendered washrooms and gender
Mhm.
neutral washrooms, not just the girls' bathroom.
Yeah.
That's such an important piece here. So thank you for speaking to that. I really appreciate that.
It is removing some of that stigma. We have period products in all of our washrooms, not just family washrooms, the women's washroom. All washrooms have period products, and we can talk about that as well. But I think that as a community space and as a leader in welcome, accessible spaces, it was very important to us to provide this service and these products so that it was not only accessible, but that idea of having a place to trigger to talk about this stigma and things that are considered taboo by many cultures and many
Mhm.
people that we just don't talk about. One's periods. I have two sisters, and so we were all, it was kind of funny. We were all sort of menstruating. You know how you hear about people getting the same cycle, and we were all menstruating
Yes.
at the same time. And I do recall my father, who was a very a quiet person, just leaving the room because my mother would say, "Oh, we are all," it's a mess, just a mess. So we could sort of talk about it because we had a very strong all female, sort of world,
Mhm.
but for many people, that isn't the case. They can't talk about it, and it is embarrassing and a stigma and a taboo subject. Frankly, we have had many interesting conversations within the community with community members about this project, and some more difficult than others. Frankly, some are very accepting and support all the way, and but not everyone does.
It's been perfect, and it's one of those things that we just hope will continue to sort of build and build. And KPL is actually, the Kitchener Public Library is a very good example, I would say, of a early leader in our community that before the pandemic, they had made the decision to put period products in their washrooms. And right out of the gate, they did some very important things. Is they just did it. They did it in the one location, the main branch. They just did it in every washroom. So right out of the gate, along with information about why they were doing it, which was, here's some free menstrual products. If you need them, take them. It was pretty much as simple as that. And for folks listening that might be like, yeah, okay, so what's the big deal? It is truly groundbreaking. It is as simple as it is. It is extremely difficult to actually. It just doesn't happen, and the proof is in all around us. If you go to most public bathrooms in Canada, a extremely small percentage will have period products. An
Mhm.
even smaller one will have them readily available at no cost, and almost none will have them in male gendered washrooms. KPL being one of those exceptions. So I really
Mhm.
highlight them to infinity and beyond, as a cartoon character may say, because they just went ahead and did it. We were inspired. We were working with them in terms of just broader, community menstrual equity conversations when they had started this, and that just sort of attracted us to say we got to stay close to this organization because they're, they get it. And like everything else, for almost all of us, the pandemic happened and threw everything for a loop, but they came out of that and even accelerated further. And so they've recently announced that they have gone ahead and put period products in all their branches now, in all the washrooms. And those, we were fortunate to be able to partner with them to get our period boxes alongside with that implementation. And so this was a very large bracket to answer the question about the period boxes, sparking other conversations. And yes, they do, any boxes, quite frankly, will do that. It's the period products that are the sort of the conversation piece.
Sort of getting over this taboo, getting over this shame of menstrual products. It was important that we have them in all washrooms. Not to mention, there are still many people who, for whatever reason, women can't access the products. And it could be that there's a partner, a male partner, or somebody identifies as males using the men's washroom. And maybe they know that somebody who needs some products. It could be that somebody who is street involved goes in, sees these and said, this is great, my partner needs these. And we don't want that to be a barrier at all.
And again, this would be a real shout out to KPL, because I'm paraphrasing a story that they shared with me about that very thing, and how one day there was one of the male staff members at KPL had heard some ruckus in the boys' washroom, or the male gendered washroom at KPL, and went in to see that there was a few teenage boys sort of wondering what's going on with these tampons and pads in here, and like, what the heck? And their approach was so smart in it was not an enforcement punitive approach. It was very much like, oh, hey guys, what's going on? Oh yeah, I saw that too. I was wondering about that too, as the staff member just kind of washed their hands or there and sparked the conversation of, well, what do you guys think? Why do you think these might be in the boys' washroom? And the conversation was just sort of had around like, well, I guess there are people that are, might identify as male that maybe have a period. I guess where else would they go? Oh, okay. And another kid said something to the effect of, well, I guess if my friend or even my sister or mom needed period products and I needed to get them, well, I guess where else would I get them from but the boys' washroom, right? And it's sort of, they took themselves off on their own path, and that sort of ended there. It was like a 2-3 minute intervention, but that stuck with me because it's literally that simple, right? It's beautiful too, and that's really why they're there.
Right on. And I always see the library as the place where everyone is welcome and everyone can go. Not everyone is in school, not everyone is in certain other public spaces, but the library is a place for everyone in our community. So making that a hub for the distribution of menstrual products just makes so much sense, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think libraries, our public libraries at least, are maybe the last place where consumption for a price is not required, right? You don't have to buy something. You can just come in, you can sit, you can read, you can do nothing, actually. You can actually come in and just sit there and no one's going to tell you to move on, right?
So what would you say would be your vision for the future of access, not only in schools or libraries, but in other public spaces as well?
Well, I think that it should be more of an open subject in any public space. Like, I think we should have posters, signs. I think we should have these products available because it's nothing to be embarrassed about. It's natural. And I think that if we make them accessible, people will feel less of, I guess, a shame around the subject.
Hmm.
And that's where I think it's going to be important because young people who are growing up and just learning about it, we're still taught, like, oh, that's not something you say out loud. That's something you keep to yourself. And I don't think that we should hide that from anyone. I think that it's
Hmm.
natural and people should know about it because it's part of life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think I dream of that future for my daughter as well, right? Growing up in spaces where pads, tampons, other products are available just like toilet paper or just like
Yeah.
tissues or something to dry your hands with, right? Like those are hygiene products and everyone should have
Yes.
access to them in public spaces.
Period products should be in every public washroom in Canada. Full stop. I don't want to overuse my word period. But it is that simple. It is that universal. It is that groundbreaking. No, it's not groundbreaking. It's that far behind that we are.
Yeah.
You know, and like I've got a roll of toilet paper in my hands here that is something that I try to get folks to sometimes when they just can't wrap their head around the idea, or they just haven't had an opportunity to think about this as much as others, is to think about what would life be like in the enjoyment of public space if people had to carry their own personal roll of toilet paper around everywhere they went, should a need arise while they're away from their home. Imagine having to go as I'm a manager or an employee in a big office, and I'm going about my business, and I got to go to the bathroom. So I got to get up. I got to bring my bag because I have my toilet paper tucked in there because I don't want people to see why I'm going to the bathroom. Or I've got to go, or worse, I forgot. So I got to go talk to my friend and say, hey, Bhupinder, listen, I forgot my, I didn't think I'd have to go to the bathroom today, but I got to go, and I forgot my toilet paper. So do you have an extra, and then everybody's watching me have this conversation, or I have to go to the front desk, say, hey, excuse me, can I have some of the spare toilet paper? Because I did. And they'd be like, Kevin, come on. Did you know what you ate yesterday? Come on, you can play. Did your parents teach you to bring your own toilet? And it's ridiculous, right? But at the same time, I'm telling you that is so undignified. The shame, it's just wow. And that's only a few situations, right? We just need to have period products in every public washroom in Canada. Period.
Schools in the province are now placing period products in bathrooms for students and staff to access as needed. This has really helped with the lack of access for students who can't afford period products. Gabby, as a student, what are your thoughts on having the period products available in schools now? Are they truly accessible? Are there any barriers to access? And what would you like to see done differently with these products?
I've heard a lot of people who forget their products, and then I'm often helping my friends. I'm giving them out, and I think it's great that they're accessible because for some, I don't want to say it's an embarrassment, but when an accident happens, they don't feel comfortable. And then when there's no products accessible, they have to wait till the end of the day and they don't have any resources. In my school, we actually just implemented the boxes. And I think what I've gathered from speaking to my friends, there's actually a difference between the public and Catholic school boards. So I go to a Catholic school, and a lot of my other friends go to different Catholic schools, and it's the same thing for them. They didn't have these products available until recently.
Mhm.
So those are a bit of like the barriers, I guess, because they're allowing it at some schools and not at others. And I also, at my school, it's a bit limited. They just started putting it, so really there's only a few pads in the dispenser, but I think we should have a wide range of products available.
Mhm. And are they available, do you know, in all of the bathrooms or only some of them in your school?
I am not too sure actually.
Mhm.
I think we just added a new addition onto my school, and so there's one in the new bathroom, but I don't believe that there's some in the old part of the school.
Ah, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So I've heard that there's another school in our community, Gabby, that has taken on what you actually did previously, and they're doing that as well. They're going to hold a drive. They're going to try to end period poverty by collecting items and distributing them. How does that make you feel, seeing that someone else has taken on, taken up the banner that you started?
It makes me feel really great that it's starting, I guess, a sort of movement because now it's going to be more of an open conversation with everyone, and that's exactly like the end goal of what everyone here is trying to do. We're trying to make it not such a hush hush subject. We want people to be involved. We want people to feel comfortable. We want that accessibility. So I think that other schools and other people are taking the initiative is amazing because now it's going to open an even bigger playing field.
That's so exciting just to see, when you started something like this, you got the ball rolling, and now we're seeing all these little trickles out into the community. And that's amazing. One individual, one idea, and look at all the great, wonderful things that are happening as a result. So making this really just levels the playing field, doesn't it? When we have period boxes in public places, then
Yeah.
we're reducing stigma, but we're also increasing accessibility. And that's so huge. Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, what's really standing out for me today here is that everyone in our community can take power and action to advance menstrual equity, from a concerned community member to a CEO to a student. All of us here have a part to play in this work, and it's been so very inspiring to hear from all of you here today. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today. Um, do tell me, though, about some of the events that are coming up. So I know that there's an in-person event at KPL on May the 28th. Mary, can you tell me a bit about this upcoming event?
It's our way of celebrating the day, and we love the title. We are committed. Period. It's a very I think it's a good title, and the fact that the central location, we're going to be hosting local menstrual equity community stakeholders and partners to celebrate our collective strength in making this menstrual equity reality in our community. So I think there are various events that are going to take place on May the 28th. And in case you didn't know, the thing to bring to a period party are period products. So we're asking anybody who wants to participate and donate period products to do so. Of course, May 28th is sort of the day that we're recognizing, but it can be at any time. It doesn't have to just be on the 28th of May. But we have a partnership with the Moontime Sisters. So all products will be donated to the Moontime Sisters. And if you're not familiar with that group, it's a collective of people who want to help menstruators in northern and remote communities across Canada have access to menstrual products as well, because they don't have the opportunities, I think, for these open access areas as they do here we do here in the South. So I hope people can come and join us. It's a great way to connect with the community, to learn what folks are doing in the community. And I believe it's from 11 to 2 on May the 28th. We do have a website, by the way, on our calendar. On our website, excuse me, there's a calendar. And if you click on this event, you'll get all the details of that event too at kpl.org.
Excellent. And say for me one more time the title of the event.
Oh, it is We Are Committed, period.
Community members who want to get involved can also donate period products to your local food bank, and that can help people who menstruate to access essential products. You can also donate to Changing the Flow directly. That's changingtheflow.ca. They have period packs that you can purchase with pads and tampons and instructions for use for $2.50, and those are distributed to folks in need. For the month of May, Full Circle Foods should have period boxes for purchase, and those will be with $5 from each box going towards the Shore Center. On May 24th, join Wellbeing Waterloo Region and Changing the Flow for an event at the Apollo Cinema from 7 to 9 p.m. in celebration of Menstrual Health Day. The event is entitled It Matters, period. This event includes local vendors, art, zines, a film screening for the short film entitled Free Period, and a panel discussion to follow. Thank you so much for joining me today for this menstrual equity discussion.